Welcome to the Innovation Brief by IdeaScale, the podcast that helps you turn your work team into innovators. We all talk about using data to drive better decisions,
Right.
but when it comes to innovation, it often feels like we're relying on gut instinct and like scattered brainstorming sessions.
Yeah, that's a common challenge,
Right.
especially for leaders who are trying to foster a culture of innovation.
Huh?
How do you move beyond the occasional aha moment to a more structured and sustainable approach?
Exactly. So how do we bridge that gap?
Right.
How do we make innovation less about chance and more about a reliable process fueled by data?
Yeah, one increasingly popular solution is data-driven governance.
Okay, I've had that term thrown around a lot lately.
Right.
But to be honest, I'm not entirely sure what it means in a practical sense.
Sure, simply put it means basing your decisions on evidence rather than intuition.
Okay.
Instead of relying on gut feelings or assumptions, you're systematically gathering data, analyzing it, and using those insights to guide your innovation strategy.
So it's about bringing that same data-driven rigor that we apply to other areas of the business,
Right.
like operations or marketing,
Exactly.
to the realm of innovation.
Precisely. And it's not just about crunching numbers.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the needs of your customers, empowering your employees, and creating a feedback loop that allows you to constantly learn and adapt.
Now, you mentioned citizen engagement as a key principle of data-driven governance.
Mm-hmm.
I can see how that applies in a government context, but how does that translate to a business setting?
Right. Think of citizen engagement in this context as capturing the collective intelligence of both your workforce and your customers.
Yeah.
You're tapping into a vast reservoir of ideas and perspectives.
So it's about moving beyond traditional top-down innovation
Yeah,
and embracing a more inclusive approach.
absolutely. You want to create an environment where everyone feels empowered to contribute their ideas, whether they're on the front lines interacting with customers or deep in the trenches developing new products.
Can you give me a concrete example of how a company might use this citizen engagement approach to drive innovation?
Sure. Imagine a company that's looking to develop a new product.
Okay.
Instead of relying solely on their internal R&D team, they could use a platform like IdeaScale to solicit ideas and feedback from their entire customer base.
Interesting.
They could ask questions like, what problems are you facing, or what features would you love to see in a new product?
That's a great example.
Mm-hmm.
And by analyzing that feedback data, they could uncover unmet needs, identify trends, and ultimately develop a product that's truly aligned with what their customers want.
Exactly, and that's just one example.
Right.
The possibilities are really endless when you start thinking about how to leverage the collective intelligence of your workforce and your customer base.
This all sounds very promising, but I imagine it can be quite challenging to implement in practice.
Sure.
Companies are already drowning in data. How do you even begin to sort through it all and turn it into actionable insights?
That's where a platform like IdeaScale can really make a difference.
Okay.
It provides a structured way to collect, analyze, and act on ideas from both employees and customers. It helps you cut through the noise and focus on the ideas that have the most potential.
So it's not just a suggestion box where ideas go to die.
Right.
It's actually a system that helps you turn those ideas into concrete innovation initiatives.
Exactly, and that's where the principle of continuous improvement comes in.
Okay.
IdeaScale allows you to track the progress of ideas, gather data on their performance, and make adjustments along the way. It's about creating a feedback loop that allows you to constantly learn and evolve.
I'm starting to see how this all ties together. You're essentially creating a culture of data-driven innovation where everyone feels empowered to contribute, and ideas are constantly being tested and refined based on real-world feedback.
Precisely, it's about moving from a culture of intuition to a culture of evidence, and it's about recognizing that the best ideas can often come from unexpected places.
This reminds me of something we hear a lot these days, the idea of democratizing innovation. Is that essentially what we're talking about here?
Absolutely. Data-driven governance, especially when supported by a platform like IdeaScale, really does democratize the innovation process. It breaks down silos and empowers everyone to contribute, regardless of their role or level within the organization.
Which makes sense, right? I mean, the people on the front lines dealing with customers or working within specific processes, they often have the best insights into what needs to change or improve.
Right. They're the ones closest to the problem, so they're often closest to the solutions as well, but their voices often go unheard in traditional top-down innovation models.
Yeah, it sounds like this approach could be a game changer for businesses that are struggling to keep up with the pace of change in today's market. But are there any potential downsides or challenges that we should be aware of? I mean, we all know data can be misused or misinterpreted.
That's a great question, and it's important to remember that data is a tool. Like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill. The key is to have the right mindset, the right ethical framework for using data responsibly. Data-driven governance shouldn't be about blindly following the numbers. It's about using data to inform human decisions to augment our judgment, not replace it.
So it's about finding that balance between data and intuition, between the objective and the subjective.
Exactly. And that's where strong leadership comes in, leaders who understand the power of data, but also recognize the importance of human insight and ethical considerations. They set the tone for how data is used within the organization.
It sounds like data-driven governance is not just a set of tools or processes. It's really a cultural shift that requires a different way of thinking about innovation.
It absolutely is, and it's a shift that's happening right now. Companies that embrace this approach, that empower their teams with data and tools like IdeaScale, they're the ones who are going to thrive in the years to come.
It's about moving from a culture of, let's say, gut feel to a culture of evidence-based decision-making, from operating in silos to fostering collaboration and collective intelligence. And ultimately, it's about recognizing that innovation can come from anywhere, from anyone in the organization, as long as they have the right data and the right platform to share their ideas.
That's a great way to put it, and that's where IdeaScale really shines. It gives you the tools and the framework to embrace this data-driven approach, to turn your workforce into innovators, and ultimately to achieve greater success.
So to wrap things up, it sounds like data-driven governance isn't just some trendy buzzword. It's a fundamental shift in how businesses operate and innovate.
It absolutely is. And it's a shift that's happening right now. Companies that embrace this approach, that empower their teams with data and tools like IdeaScale, they're the ones who are going to thrive in this rapidly changing world.
It's about recognizing that in today's hyper-competitive landscape, the ability to harness data, analyze it effectively, and then translate those insights into action is what separates the leaders from the laggards.
Precisely. And it's about understanding that innovation isn't some mystical force that strikes randomly. It's a process that can be nurtured, cultivated, and yes, driven by data.
So for those listening who are ready to take the leap to embrace data-driven governance and turn their work team into innovators, what's the next step?
It's simple. Head over to ideascale.com and book a demo. You can even start a free trial to see how the platform works for yourself. It's a game changer, trust me.
I love that, a game changer. And listeners, be sure to subscribe to the Innovation Brief by IdeaScale for new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. We'll keep you up to date on the latest trends in innovation and how to harness the power of data to drive success. And hey, while you're at it, leave a comment below. Let us know your thoughts on using data to fuel innovation. What are your biggest challenges? What are you most excited about? We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep innovating.